40 million people. That's Canada's new population. For some reason, I still thought we were like around 35 million. Seemed like we were at 38 million last week, but no. As of today, as of last night or early this morning, I suppose, we've hit officially 40 million Canadians. This is going to be a lot to unpack, so brace yourself. Welcome back to another video, everybody. If that number frightens you, you're not alone. Before we get into it, I'd like to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps fight Justin Trudeau's algorithm, and we're almost at 300,000 subscribers. A little different than 40 million, but still we're growing. We're making a difference here. And well, without further ado, let's get into this video. So here is the official Stat Canada, post. This is someone recorded a clip. What you're about to see is 39,999 cross over to 40 million people. And Canadian Prime Minister official Twitter account did the exact same thing. Ba-doo! Surprise! Yay! It's time to celebrate. Or is it? We're going to be taking a look at a couple different things. Even Stats Canada came out with a YouTube video around this, trying to generate a lot of excitement around the fact that, hey guys, we're doing great. We're inclusive. Canada is a thriving country. And on the surface, you might actually agree with that. Oh, well, that's great. Our population is going up. But there's a little bit of dangers around this. And we have so many issues here in Canada. One, for instance, is the housing crisis. Where's 40 million people going to live? We have more homeless people now than ever, and is actually increasing on the rise. We have an increasing drug addiction and crime rate that's just skyrocketing. Houses aren't being built fast enough, and more people are coming in with nowhere to actually stay. I don't know if this is a vote farming tactic that the Liberal government is doing, but I agree with immigration. But more specifically, I agree with targeted immigration. Hey, okay, you're the prime minister. You lay everything out on a table, right? The drawing board, and you say, here's where all of our jobs need filling. We are very lacking in electricians in Canada, in nurses and doctors and mechanics, whatever it is. And then you bring people in that are qualified for those positions with, hey, you're coming into our country, you get a job as this, right? And then we're good to go. And we fill those vacancies. But that's not how the Liberal government is going about things. And that's what's a little scary. Our numbers are increasing at a really fast rate, and we just don't have the infrastructure to sustain this type of growth. Here's Ron Butler on Twitter saying Canada's growth to 40 million people and housing starts to drop 23%. You can't make this stuff up. It's completely nuts. Our federal government, which is solely in charge of immigration, has been simultaneously telling us for 8 years they're committed to solving the housing crisis. Look, I absolutely understand that the government does not build homes. Thank God for that. But in Canada, governments at all levels pull so many levers that affects housing. That's just undeniable. So government must accept responsibility when it goes wrong. Partial list of government involvement. The Bank of Canada controls interest rates and mortgage rate. The Bank of Canada controls interest rates directly and mortgage rates indirectly. Feds control mortgage rules. Provinces control land use and big development, and municipalities control individual zoning and type of use. I could go on adding to the list of levels of government involvement with housing for an hour and not be finished. Government is so involved that it has promised so many times to provide affordable housing. For years, the government has told us 1.5 million extra homes will be built. But here we are, fewer homes being built now than last year, and 2022 was fewer new homes in 2023. And with interest rates remaining high, new home development will also likely continue to fall. Bottom line, all parties, all levels of government, total failure on housing. And then a little gif of Trudeau saying, and the budget will balance itself. And I couldn't agree more with that. I actually followed this person based off of this one singular tweet thread. We have a massive, massive issue. There are not houses being built. What part of where you live do you see huge areas of development? The only area, the only province I've ever seen that is Alberta, but they can only do so much for such a limited amount of time because you can't build in the harsh winters of Alberta. Out here in BC, you don't have massive suburbs being developed. There is so much government red tape. Rates are so high that people are just not buying the houses. You can't buy a house. Well, it's hard to buy a house at 7-8% interest rate. And I know a lot of older people are laughing. Well, back in the 70s and 80s, houses were 20% interest rate. Shut up. You could buy a house for a Snicker bar. All right. Sorry, I don't mean to say shut up. But the matter of the fact is that even though interest rates used to be significantly higher, almost triple what they are now, houses were like $50,000. And I know inflation, $50,000 then is a lot different than now, but still we're living in a different era that, you know, $10 won't even buy you a loaf of bread. So it's inarguable that interest rates right now just don't match how the economy is running. And 40 million people, again, where are you going to house everybody? In the meantime, they're being, you know, a lot of refugees and immigrants are being put into hotels at whose expense? That's right, taxpayers' expense. All right, Canada's population just hit 40 million and is growing at a record-setting pace. According to StatsCan real-time population clock, Canada's numbers hit the 40 million mark just before 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Without further ado, let's take a look at this video that StatsCan produced. It's actually an interesting video in terms of the graphics, but I'll leave the contents up to you to form an opinion.
Of course, we didn't have a national census then, but we know that the large number of indigenous peoples who populated this great land for thousands of years are at the heart of our journey as a country. Now, children, the assignment due by end of day today is to outline when we reached 40 million Canadians and to note the key moments that led to that count.
The Klondike Gold Rush begins, and Canada reaches 5 million. In the early 1900s, Canada welcomes massive waves of immigrants, many of whom settle in the West. In 1913 alone, the country welcomes 400,000. The post-war baby boom period sees tremendous population growth thanks to high birth rates. The average children per woman reaches 3.9. Meanwhile, immigrants continue.
Back at work, you two.
With the birth rate declining, immigration becomes the main source of population growth. As the baby boomers age, the number of people 65 and older surpasses those 0 to 14. By the time we reach Expo 67 and Canada's centennial, there are 20 million Canadians. 21, 22, 23, 20. Immigrants represented the largest share. 29, 30 million Canadians. A record that was only broken nearly 100 years later. 3, 34, 35 million. Canada's population grew by 1 million temporary and permanent immigration for 95% of the country's demographic growth. 36, 37, 38. Thanks in large part to this new wave of immigration, 39. Canada's population reaches 40 million Canadians on June 16th, 2023.
Hello, Canada. Your chief statistician here. I'm pleased to report that we are now 40 million Canadians. What an exciting milestone for our country. We are now living through one of these moments of great change. And I, for one, can't wait to see what kind of future we will build.
Assignment complete. Good job.
So in order to have loyalty to one's country and to prosper a nation, the best way, the undeniable, inarguable best way is to incentivize people to have children so that people can be born here and flourish. But the birth rate is at an all-time low, while immigration rate as an all-time high. If you're not catching on to what's happening, then, well, let me open your eyes. Canada doesn't want to continue to have Canadian-born children. At least there's less and less incentives. Cost of living is so high that people just aren't incentivized to have children. People can't even afford a house. How are they supposed to afford having a kid? People can't even afford to feed themselves, to go on road trips, to take proper vacations. How are you going to ever raise a kid in this world? But bring in immigrants, give them subsidies, and well, there you have it. You've been replaced. You replace a Canadian population with an influx of immigration. Immigration yearly is over 1 million people, and it's set to increase at a steady rate because by the year 2100, Justin Trudeau, the World Economic Forum, the liberal band of misfits want Canada's population to be 100 million people. And if the same question that's in my mind is in your mind, which is, where the fuck are 100 million people going to live in the next 77 years? Well, yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, probably on the streets, because we're not building at a steady rate, not unless climate change stops and we all start eating bugs. I don't know what the hell's going on with this country. It's just weird. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm bashing immigrants, because people want to come here and it's not their fault. It's our own government and our politicians' fault for not putting in a proper policy and a proper system to have targeted immigration. Come fill the jobs that need to be filled. And then we start from there and incentivize birth rates. Let's get that back on track. Love to know what you guys think down below in the comments of this. Are you pro Canada's population being at 40 million? It seems like you may have just blinked when it was at 27 or 33 million. And all of a sudden now, whoa, this YouTube video shows up in your feed and you're like, 40 million? No. Yep, it's real. Congratulations, Canada. En route to 41 million. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.